Hello, welcome back to I24 News. David Matlin here, live in Tel Aviv. We continue now as new reports claim that senior officials from over 20 countries were the targets of an Israeli hacking campaign through the use of the WhatsApp messaging service. The report says the hacking software called Pegasus was developed by a private Israeli intelligence company called NSO Group, and that a significant portion of the targets are high-profile government and military officials. Earlier this week, Facebook-owned WhatsApp sued NSO Group in U.S. federal court for allegedly targeting their users with the spyware. Now, for more on the significance of the story here, we're joined in the studio by Oren Elimelech, the CEO of Cyber Team 360. Thanks for being with us here. You've been following this story closely. I believe you were here a couple months ago when this emerged, now before the federal lawsuit came out now this week. So how significant of a chapter in this whole saga is this story?
This story is very significant because it's the first time that a U.S. court is actually has a filing for a sue against an Israeli company. And this is quite new because it is governing the information of privacy, which means the individual in this allegation, because the allegation is suing NSO Group on the WhatsApp breach via the voice messaging, targeting around, they say 1,400, but 100 journalists, diplomats, political dissidents, But this is actually a change because somebody is suing a cyber company on the breach of information of privacy. This is an earthquake in my area.
Let's talk about that lawsuit for a minute, because traditionally we've seen, for example, this is Facebook now bringing this lawsuit in U.S. federal court against this company. Traditionally, they've been on the receiving end of this kind of legal action. So what does this say about, are things shifting in this arena? Are new players emerging that have more power than they did before? What's this really say?
Thank you for pointing that out. Usually, we see Facebook in the news on the receiving end, which means they breach our privacy, our information. We can all remember the incident of Cambridge Analytica we discussed here also. And it's the first time. Mark Zuckerberg went online a few months ago and said he's going to change the behavior of Facebook. I think this is one of the first marks in this roadmap that he's attempting to changing the bias of the audience and users of Facebook, which means he's trying to project that Facebook is trying to protect the information of its users. And whether if it's WhatsApp or Facebook and other platforms of social, he wants to protect the privacy because your privacy, my privacy, and all the audience that we have outside are worried about this. They're worried about the breach.
To our viewers who are watching this, who maybe aren't top-level government officials, how concerned should they be about the kind of breach in their own software and their own phones?
First of all, I think it breaks down to two realms. One realm is you should protect your information no matter what, which means you should have some few basic ground rules, which mean don't share your password, choose a strong password for your private information and your unsensitive information, but also be cautious of what you share. We have the behavior, a lot of my friends, families, they share everything, the picture of their kids, what they're doing, where they're going to eat. I can share you incidents of people sharing, they went on a holiday and they came back and their house was breached. So be cautious, that's one realm. The second one is if you're in your job, you as a journalist, me as a cybersecurity researcher and a company owner, be cautious of the information protected, be aware of that. And the average user has no inclination if there's a malware and this story lying inside his mobile, lying inside his computer and spying him, because they can pretty much do anything and go undetected.
It brings to mind another question here. Who's governing the behavior of these companies? For example, U.S. federal lawsuit here. What impact does that have on an Israeli company? Vice versa. Are there actually laws governing the behavior, or is there moral codes? Who's controlling this?
Great question, and it breaks because there isn't one realm of governing this. There isn't one authority that is dictating what to do. In Israel, there is the INCB, which is the Cyber Bureau in Israel, and it has several rules to protect that, but they're not governing NSO. And NSO has a lot of people working there. I know some of them, and there is nobody telling it. There is, of course, the encryption laws here in Israel about sharing information outside. But in terms of cybersecurity software, there's also some governing on this. But of course, NSO is saying that there's no malice in intent on what they did, and they reject onto all these claims. But the fact that a U.S. court is suing an Israeli company has implications, and I'm sure that NSO would need to go to the U.S., pretend to that, and attest. And there will be some more investigation also here in Israel. I'm sure of that, and it's quite interesting to see how this evolves.
Truly sort of some groundbreaking story here. An earthquake, as you mentioned. I like that term for this. We'll obviously be following this closely, and thank you for being with us, Oren Elimelech.
Thank you.